Okay, let's go to the next. You can also install it by directly going to this link, right? And then if you are ready with the system setup, then you just need to clone this repository. Let me show you what this repository has. So this repository has Radha also shared this repository with you all, where we see two functions. Let me show you what are the two functions: do something and cause error, right? So we'll see what is this in today's session. Right? You will get all these files if you clone that repository. Just clone that, and you will get all these files. Okay, the most important thing is this. This is the empty palette template. We'll fill this template according to our business logic, right? Here you can see pub mod palette. We are defining the palette here in a modular way, right? Then we are using a frame support and frame system. Don't worry about this. We'll understand what these two terms are. Then we are defining the struct of palette. And then we have two things: define the custom types and defining the storage item. Let's say if you need to store some user data or transaction data. So ultimately you need a placeholder to store that data, right? So for that, we define a storage item here, right? And then we have defined a config trait. So config trait we have defined is to customize the parameter according to our need. Also to get the runtime event, as you can see here, runtime event, we need to define a config trait. This config trait is inherited from frame system. And here you can see event and error we have defined. So what event is, let's take an example in which after every block, after every 100 block, we should send some balance to X person, right? So on 101st block, how would I know the transfer is happened or not? So for that, we define an event. It basically notifies us whatever happened behind the scene, right? And we define error here. What is this? Let's take an example for this also. Let's assume we are working on a voting project, and there are double voting is not allowed. And if a user tries to vote more than one time, then we stop that and we can say that double voting is not allowed, right? At last, we have callable function. We also call it as dispatchables, and this is the internal function which is used to fill the need of the dispatchables, right? Let me show you this empty palette in the default one. Let's compare one by one, right? Okay, let me do one thing. Can you see both the screens? And the font is clear, or I need to zoom it out? Okay, just a minute. Here you can see we are defining a palette here, right? And then we are using the frame support, frame system. Then we are defining the structure for palette, and you can see here we define a runtime event, and the wait info. What wait info is, we'll see. Then we're defining the storage. Here we can see that we are storing U32 value in the something storage. This T is generic, right? Then we have defined the event. Right? If we store something in the something storage, right, then we should know what we have stored. And these are the errors that we have defined: none value and storage overflow. And these two are dispatchable calls. Here you can see that. Let me show you this, right? Okay. Okay, let me show you the events and error events in live. Mhm. Okay, here you can go to the Explorer. Whatever event we defined inside the palette, you can see here: staking bounded, balance transfer. So we can see here that there is a transfer from account this to this, and how much is this, right? So we can see all the things, whatever happens behind the scene in the blockchain in the events.